The former South Carolina governor and Trump UN ambassador has taken a kind of an original tack in the campaign, not exactly going after Donald Trump as like former Governor Chris Christie of New Jersey is doing. She's going after candidates' age. She's not afraid to go after fellow Republicans. Of course, her main target is President Joe Biden, and Nikki Haley brings up the fact that Vice President Kamala Harris, not that popular, would take over. But Nikki Haley also goes after Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell.
Welcome to The Debrief, where we talk with the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the headlines they're covering and where the story's going next. I'm Sarah Bedford, and I'm here today with magazine editor David Mark. And David, we're a few weeks removed from the first Republican debate now, and Nikki Haley is continuing to rise in the polls. Why do you think that is? Is it just the debate performance, or is something else catching on?
It's interesting. The former South Carolina governor and Trump UN ambassador has taken a kind of an original tack in the campaign, not exactly going after Donald Trump as like former Governor Chris Christie of New Jersey is doing. She's going after candidates' age. She's not afraid to go after fellow Republicans. Of course, her main target is President Joe Biden, and Nikki Haley brings up the fact that Vice President Kamala Harris, not that popular, would take over. But Nikki Haley also goes after Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who has had some health issues, shall we say, in front of the camera. And I think this is something that really resonates with a lot of people. A lot of folks don't like the fact we have kind of a gerontocracy, and they're wondering why so many older people are in office.
You know, Nikki Haley's views on Ukraine were perhaps one of the things that stood out the most about her debate performance. But her views on Ukraine are also out of step with 3 out of 4 Republican voters who don't support funding for Ukraine. Is there a point in time, if she comes under more scrutiny as more of a top-tier candidate, that view could become a liability?
I would imagine so. She certainly is not in step. As you say, she's also not even that close to being a runner-up, you might say, to former President Donald Trump. Her and all her other rivals are still 30, 40, 50 points behind, no matter what poll you look at. So she's coming up, but she still has a long way to go. I think she'd be lucky to get addressed, not have actual substantive issues in foreign policy would show she's being taken seriously. At this point, I don't even think she's that close.
Tim Scott is a fellow South Carolina Republican who is not further from being close to a top-tier candidate. Why do you think he's not catching on with voters?
I think Senator Scott really had a rough debate performance a few weeks ago. He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't make any big mistakes, but it was kind of invisible. He has pitched himself this kind of hopeful, aspirational, forward-looking, Ronald Reagan-esque candidate, and he didn't really get those lines in. He just kind of stood there for most of the time, and he's not really giving people a reason to think he should be an alternative to any of the other candidates. So it's not over, but he's somebody who a lot of wealthy donors had put a lot of super PAC money into. They may be reassessing that now. If
you're Tim Scott's campaign consultant right now, you're sitting down with him, what do you advise him to do to turn this around?
I think at the next debate, assuming he's going to be on the stage, there's every reason to think he will, but he's got to find a way to be more forceful and inject himself into the conversation the way that, say, former Vice President Mike Pence did the last time around. You might agree with him, you might not, but you knew he was there, and I think that's what Scott has to do. He's not really a negative campaigning type, but he's got to find some way to draw contrasts.
Well, David, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
You can get more reporting from David and the rest of the political team at washingtonexaminer.com.